Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 579 for August 14, 2024. And how's it going, everybody? I'm Josh, KI6NAZ. Thanks for clicking on the Ham Radio Crash Course, home of Ham Nation. Let's go say hi to our mighty fine guests. I think some of us are ready to head out to Huntsville this week. Hello, glorious guests. How are you this fine week?
Hello, hello.
Gordo, how you doing? Top of the pyramid there, all smiles. What's going on with you?
All is well, getting ready for the ARRL 10 gig and up contest this weekend.
Ooh. Excellent. Yes, I'm a little bummed I'm going to miss out on that. I had to I'm heading out to Huntsville. I think Dawn is too. Dawn, how you doing? Uh-oh.
To freeze up.
Dawn, we got robot Dawn. Lon is obviously taking over the control booth.
I think so.
Charge.
Oh,
all
wait.
right, well, we'll try to do it.
Oh, no. Don is having computer problems. He did a full reboot before going live. Wait. I saw movement.
Is it coming back? Oh,
yep.
I see movement.
I see signs
okay,
of
great.
life.
Can you hear me okay now?
I think, what did you do?
Can you hear me okay?
Did you, what'd you do?
Yeah,
there?
we do hear you.
I didn't do nothing.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's my electric personality.
That's it.
What it is I pulled out the awesome badge from Huntsville last year, and it just threw everything into a tizzy.
You're just radiating.
Must
Don.
be
You're
what
radiating.
it is. Yeah, that and my electric personality. Anyway, we've got Newsline stuff tonight. We don't have Dr. T because she's been under the weather, but you just you follow her on X anyway, and carry on, Josh, while I do whatever I got to do and degauze myself.
Yeah, somebody questioned what episode number it is. If I said 479, I meant 579. If there was a correction there, but anyway, Amanda, how are you doing this week?
I'm fabulous. Thank you for asking. Let's see. It's still hot, so we got that. Anyhow, tonight we have quite the show. We're going to be talking about the possibility of 900 megahertz, some band grabbing going on, or some proposals. I'm going to discuss it and explain it all to you, how it's going to work. Also, we're going to be talking about International Dog Day and the special event station that you'll be able to work. And I'm going to be giving you some lessons I learned this last weekend talking to non-licensed hams and how to get them interested in ham radio. And I'm going to spread those lessons to you so you don't make any mistakes like I did. So stay tuned. I'll be watching chat most of the night. I'm also going to be talking a lot, so Josh will hopefully back me up and catch some of your questions.
I will be.
So stay tuned. We have a full show. And Gordo, I think it's up to you to take it away.
All right. Well, thanks, Amanda. And we can't wait to hear more about our guard of 900 megs. But tonight we're going to talk about 10,000 megahertz and this weekend's ARRL 10 gigahertz and up contest. And this is the kind of stuff you're going to be seeing that a lot of contesters are using. That would be the horn antenna and other devices, our power meters. No, we aren't going to do a regular power meter, but one set for the microwave bands at 10,000 megahertz and higher. We're going to talk about the microwave oven detector that is used by some hams to double check that their 10,000 megahertz signal is putting out. And of course, the compass, you got to have the compass, but you got to have fun during these 10 gigahertz contests. Wait, one. So I want everybody to be sure and be prepared for when you're out there for what's going to happen on 10,000 megahertz. So get your bonnets on and let's explore X-band 10 gigs. The 10 gigahertz band has been around for a long time, and hams have been occupying it. And this goes back to the good old days of ARR research that came out with the field disturbance system at 10.525 converted down to 10,361. These were gunplexers that you see up on the dune buggy, and the white box is the ARR research unit. It was a wideband FM, and it was pretty interesting because if you had a good signal, the audio was just great, and it was full duplex. But it was wideband, and it took up a lot of room on the airwaves. So we've now gone to narrowband, single sideband CW digital up on 10,000 megahertz and higher. But you want to be sure that this weekend you're not standing in front of one of those dishes unless you have the proper headgear on. But no, seriously, stay away from the operating side of those dishes because RF radiation is not healthy. The San Bernardino Microwave Society out here in Southern California, you can look them up at sbms@groups.io. They hold yearly tune-up contests, and this is a great time to test out your microwave system at 10,000 megahertz. They set up a receiver with a well-calibrated monitor to be able to check for signal strength and modulation and so on. And that's, let's see, that's 220 feet away. And this is how we do the range measurements. And it's a good test for those that have developed their own 10 gigahertz microwave setup to make sure that you've got a good, clean bill of health. And they even come out with the judgments of each station and what their associated signal strength was, type of dish. And one thing for sure, the diameter of the dish makes a big difference. That little horn I was holding up wouldn't have quite near the signal strength as some of the lower readings here. So my little setup, we take Maritime Mobile as well as Dune Buggy Mobile, and it's a lot smaller than many of the other big systems, but the best part of it is it's portable. And as long as we try and distance ourselves, not try, but indeed meet the rules at about 10 miles for each spot that you stop and work a station over again, you can get some pretty good range, including some of the direct broadcast satellite receiver dishes. With the right feed point, they work out well. Here's one of our operators with the San Bernardino Microwave Society testing it out. A good battery is necessary, and we have found that the Bioenno lithium iron phosphate batteries are a great way to go because this is, I believe, the 20 amp hour. And the 20 amp hour certainly will run me 2 days out on the water or up on a hill on the dune buggy. Keep track of the voltage. You do not want your voltage to go much below 13. Well, here's Ray, and he was a couple of years ago showing off a prototype of the IC905 with the companion CX10G transverter. And what the transverter does is it takes 10,000 megahertz and converts that down to the IF radio. Could be 2.4 if you're using that ICOM IC905, or it could be your Kenwood or Yaesu or ICOM single sideband CW rig that you use in the mobile. But let me tell you, that 905 really does a great job. And we did a test with Josh up at Field Day a few months ago, and we were separated by about 35 miles. Conditions were up and down, as you'll hear. Josh, we'll let you go.
WB6NOA, this is Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu. QSL?
QSL, give me a little chatter so I can aim the dish. Chatter a little bit more. Talk, over.
All right, Gordo, I think we're loud and clear. You're coming in actually really, really good. This is Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu coming to you or beaming at you on 10 gigahertz from Friendship Park here in Palos Verdes. How's the copy?
Oh, the copy is nice. Very, very nice. We're up here on Signal Peak. I've got a lot of trees and everything, so I maneuvered in a way that I'm just outside of the tree line. And if you'll go ahead and explain to you.
So as you can hear, and that was a great job, Josh. I was on Signal Peak. He was on San Pedro Hill, Palos Verdes, and I had a lot of brush in front of me. And trees and brush will kill a 10 gigahertz signal by at least 10, maybe 6 dB, all the way up to 10. But I finally found a spot. So Josh, we will send you a QSL card for that great contact. Thanks so much for that.
Yes, sir.
Maritime Mobile, it's always important to make sure that your dish is straight up and down. And here we have nothing more than just a little counterweight and on a string. But when you're rocking on a boat, we thought, oh, signals will be in and out and in and out. But to our surprise, it was not really that touchy. So you can even do 10,000 megs and higher maritime mobile. This is right next door to the 9 gigahertz marine radar band. And we found no interference from running our radar with the 10 gig equipment in use as well. But remember, the dangerous part of this whole deal, especially marine radar, that's a KW, is don't stand in front of any microwave antenna. Dish pointing is important, but it's not critical. You can go 5 degrees one way or the other way with a medium-sized dish and have great reception. And on the dish, I have down the different frequencies of the different stations I plan to work, maritime mobile. But the big deal on 10 gigahertz, as well as mesh, as well as Arden, as well as other microwave bands, is your local weather conditions. If it's foggy, you're probably going to be off the air for anything over than about 5 miles if you're running 1 or 2 watts. And 1 or 2 watts is really a lot of power at 10,000 megahertz. When Josh and I made contact, we were down in the milliwatt range, but he had a nice signal from that ICOM setup. That temperature inversion, which we've talked about before, really makes a difference. And optically, if you're able to see an aircraft, there have been 10 gigahertz contacts with bounces off of the aircraft. No, we're not going to disturb their avionics systems. And again, our power many times is like 100 milliwatts, maybe a half a watt at most. Here's the big deal is optically you can see when you're inside an inversion, and that's a narrow path to Catalina Island. And that strange thing in the center is not a flying saucer, but that's the effects of a tropospheric duct that's creating a mirage inside a mirage. 10,000 megahertz signals love that. And we can get 300 and 400 and 500 miles, which we did maritime mobile once on 10 gigs. But again, if there's fog, overcast, heavy clouds that are just all the way down to deck level, your 10 gig range is not going to be near as great as on a hot day. Yet, when there's approaching thunderstorms, many 10 gigahertz ham radio operators will actually bounce signals off of rain scatter. And CW is about the only mode that survives on that type of occurrence. And a lightning strike many times will energize the ionosphere, or I should say the atmosphere, not the ionosphere, the atmosphere, to the point that you'll get a just brief 2 or 3 syllables from another station you're trying to make contact with. And 10 gigahertz is not just voice or CW. We're now doing FT8, FT4, and a lot of the digital modes. It's not quite as exciting as actually hearing a person's voice. So we'll let those operators do their thing, but here is a nice setup showing that we've got a 10 gigahertz station and a radio that is tied into it. And that radio is called the IF radio, and that is what is going to the transverter. If you look real carefully, you'll see flexible waveguide, and that's used a lot. It's getting expensive to buy these days, but the flexible waveguide is taking the output of the 10 gig transverter and running it to the antenna. In polarization, you want to make sure that you are polarized in the same plane as the other operators. And if you have beacon stations in the area, then you can tune into them because they are usually running the polarization for that local area. And almost everything connects via the little tiny SMA. and that's a male SMA going to the 10 gig transverter. And you want to make sure that it's absolutely clean as a whistle, because any type of dust or dirt or grime that gets inside that little SMA on the 2 meter 440 band, it doesn't make a difference. But up at 10,000 megahertz, it can cost you several dBs. Now, there's a lot of different people making 10 gigs, and the very best rigs are those that the ham radio operators homebrew themselves. ICOM is the only one so far with a rig that takes a 10 gig transverter. Their rig, the ICOM is the IC905, does a lot of the microwave bands and is really a favorite among the 10 gig operators. The KUHNE is another popular one. Down East Microwave, DB6NT. Go to 10 gigahertz, and that is 10, big G, big H, little z, transverter on your lookup on the computer, and you'll see a lot of different manufacturers with all sorts of information. And there's a Kuhn, and that's a popular one, comes out of Germany, but it's like almost $800 for maybe 200 milliwatts out. And it's going to be probably another $400 if you want to get up to high power at 1 watt. But I wouldn't suggest any more than a watt on a horn antenna. But there are some operators that operate TWTs and those with much higher power. And again, one must be very careful. There's a homebrew project that really worked out well at the recent 10 gigahertz contact a couple of years ago. And talk about plumbing. Yep, it's waveguide. Circular in this case, and the feed point is critical, and there's all sorts of calculations on how to get the right feed point distance depending as to the type of dish that you're running. So this weekend is going to have all the experts up on the mountaintop and appliance operators like me that I've homebrewed and put together a little 10 gig rig with run maybe 2 watts. That's a Cassegrain feed, not as efficient as one where the feed point is active at the end of that circular tube, but nonetheless, 400 to 450 miles to a maritime mobile many years ago was the best DX, and you can see the flexible waveguide down below the rig. And again, this is the transition. We don't use coax. Coax is just, except for maybe a very short lead, maybe a foot or so. We don't use coax. We usually transfer over to a waveguide. And there's a typical waveguide. So what's the big deal about 10 gigs and why the contest? Well, for number one, it really hones your skill when you're setting up amateur radio ARDN networks for emergency preparedness, or you're setting up mesh networks. And the nice thing about 10 gigs is we got plenty of elbow room, but we have so much room on 10 gigs that we've got to be real cautious that we indeed regularly use our rigs, make contacts, have beacons, have nice compact rigs that you see here, and even go maritime mobile with 10 gigs. Because if we don't use the 10 gig band and higher bands, 24 and all the way up to 72 and even higher now with the latest technology, we don't use those bands, the automobile makers and many of the other big companies are going to be looking, saying, well, there's only like 20 hams in the USA using that band. We need to take it over where 20,000 people could use it in a community. So, and we're going to hear about that shortly from Amanda. So this weekend, we don't expect you to go out there and spend $2,000 or $3,000 on a new 10 gig setup. But if ever you find one intact, used, and operational below maybe $1,500, maybe even below $1,000 if it's like 200 milliwatts, you might want to grab it if you're interested in propagation up on the microwave bands. So we've got our 10 gig hat. We're all set, ready to roll. We're ready for almost anything. And again, be prepared. Do not stand in front of any operational 10 gig dish this weekend, but do find out about the many clubs that'll be on mountaintops, and you can't miss them. They won't have the hats, but they'll sure have the big dish antennas. Amanda, let me turn it over to you because we need to learn more about how we're going to protect our microwave bands.
That's right. Use it or lose it. That's the lesson of the night tonight. Okay, some of you might have seen around on social media pages about 900 megahertz. There is a proposal by a company named NextNav to start using part of 33 centimeters. Now, I'm here to explain what they're actually going to be doing and how it's going to possibly interfere with ham radio. So the first thing is NextNav's basic, it's going to be experimental, but it's for first responders, public safety kind of things. And basically what it is navigation systems. So first responders can be followed basically in buildings or maybe out in the field. And this is just one other way they're going to try to do it. Now, NextNav has been working on these kind of solutions for quite a while and using different bands, but this is now a proposal to use this. And the one thing I'm going to say first is the last time that something was proposed, and it was in the 220 megahertz area, we lost like about half of our band privileges in 1988, and it was also for experimental purposes, but we never got it back, even though that experimental purposes was never put into place. So that's part of my spiel. Anyhow, so to give you the summary of what portions are using, NextNav wants to use the 902 to 928 option. And first of all, so thank you. Oh, it's highlighted. Look at that. Basically, our inputs of most of our repeaters in the country, ham repeaters that is in the 902 to 903 uplink, and the input, and then the output is around 917 to 923. And so that's definitely going to cause us some problems. But let me tell you some of the things that I'm actually, as a section manager, I'm talking to all of my hams here in Colorado to explain this and tell them what else is going to be affected. So while NextNav put in there they wanted to have incumbent protection, the licensees that are going to be protected will not fully cover amateur radio because we are secondary users in 900 megahertz. But it will actually affect our IoTs, ISMs, and a bazillion. And when I say a bazillion, it's probably close to a billion different RFID readers and locators. So, Josh, there's another, pulled up this little chart. I made a little chart for everyone to get a full understanding of the amateur band plan and where where NextNav will fall into place in that.
Let me get it.
And Josh is pulling it up for us. There we go. So I know this is an ARRL graphic, so I apologize. It's really, really small type on the right-hand side there. But basically, NextNav's frequencies, as I had already pointed out. There's also weak signal use in there in the ham part, and that's around the 902 to 907. But okay, Mesh-tastic people, you can all take a little bit of a breather because most of the Mesh-tastic, Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is around 915. Is that correct?
It's actually spread spectrum, so it frequency hops, and it does go into most of the 900-ish range between the low side and the higher side.
Okay. And
Laura WAN too. Laura as well.
Laura. Okay. One of the other things NextNav is proposing is to revise the rules for multilateration location and monitoring service and to allow full macro power limits, which will definitely increase interference with amateur operations. And they put in an example, the near 3,000 watt ERP operations will have negative impact on all current users, including amateur RFID and Part 15 users. So, and if anyone else is curious on what the IoT or the ISMs are, those are your weather stations, baby monitors. If anyone actually still has them, cordless phones from the 90s. Those kind of things are also falling in that band plan and of usage. So I kind of got together some statistics in Colorado because I was very curious on how many people this might actually affect just in the state of Colorado. And I found out that we have 21 repeaters that are coordinated in 33 centimeters. Weak signal users, this is highly a rough estimate, but 50 to 100 that are steady full-time weak signal users. Number of 900 users, now the only base I had was from a section net that I just ran this last week. And the topic was 900 and who were users. And they are indirect users, basically. So sometimes there's 900 repeaters that are somehow linked, and a lot of Aries operations take place on 900 because of its local use. And so I would say 60 to 75% of my check-ins are direct or indirect users. And that's just the small state of Colorado, where there's only about maybe 8,000 to 10,000 hams. Imagine a state like California and how much this is going to affect them. Gordo, I'm sure you can chime in. It's going to be considerable, isn't it?
Oh, you're right. Sure will.
Okay, so what can we do as hams? Well, we can give our comments. The comment window is open until September 5th. And I posted a link to the express commenting. This is a quick and easy. You don't have to upload any documents. You don't have to upload a letter. And you just put in your name, information, and your quick comments. Now that would just be, I'm a 900 repeat amateur radio user. This affects me as an amateur radio operator. Just quick comments is a very small box. I think it's 250 or less characters. So you can also do the extended filing if you want, if you have an actual letter. I'm working on kind of an options letter. The FCC doesn't necessarily want to see a cookie cutter form letter spread around for us to all just sign our names to. So I'm trying to make it a little bit more personal, and people will have options to choose on how this will affect them, and they can personalize it themselves and then upload it if people want the extended comment going forward. But anyhow, I wanted everyone to understand kind of what's going on and how it's going to affect and what NextNav is and what they do. And it sounds like it could be very significant depending on what you do in the 33 centimeter band. So take a look at it, look at the filings, and everyone check out that PDF file so you can read into it yourselves and make your own decisions on if you feel like taking up a fight here and letting them know, the FCC know what you feel about it. So Josh, was there any questions or comments in the chat?
I did get a correction that Meshtastic doesn't frequency hop, which is actually kind of interesting. So it's even more so a problem potentially is our long fast channel, which is a predefined channel, is on 906.875 megahertz. So yeah, they're
directly in the middle
directly right smack dab in the middle of this area of potential use by this NextNav.
Okay. And there's basically, I'll give you one acronym if you're trying to have a discussion with others about this. NextNav is using this for PNT, and that's positioning, navigation, and timing. So that will tell you kind of what they're doing with it. So, all right, that's my big spiel about trying to save 900 and save Meshtastic. There you go. And you guys let me know offline if you have any other questions. Me as a section manager, I'm just trying to help as much as possible. So there you go.
Good job,
Let's
getting the
hear
word
from.
out.
Thank you. Let's hear from ICOM.
Fun, Sun, and QSO. Wherever you go, keep the fun going with one of ICOM's go-to portables or remote rigs. The IC705 and IC7300 radios both feature a large touchscreen with real-time spectrum scope and waterfall display for intuitive functions and setting operation. So kick back, enjoy the breeze, and make those QSOs with ease. The IC705 portable radio provides base station features and performance in the palm of your hand. From HF to 50, 144, or 440 megahertz, enjoy a wide variety of bands in the D-Star DV, single sideband, CW, RIDI, AM, and FM modes. This handheld also includes an RF direct sampling system, wireless LAN and Bluetooth connectivity, an internal GPS receiver, and more. The IC7300 is an industry first to use an RF direct sampling system and an entry-level HF radio. This high-performance radio includes an audio scope function, IP+, class-leading RMDR and phase noise characteristics, 15 discrete bandpass filters, and a built-in automatic antenna tuner. This compact and innovative radio will far exceed your expectations. Bring the fun wherever you are by going remote. The optional RSBA1 remote control software allows you to operate your ICOM from a portable PC. For those of you with an IC7300, head on over to ICOMAmerica.com and download the latest firmware to get ICOM's new digital pre-distortion capabilities. This technology corrects nonlinear distortion at the final amplifier stage by applying inverse distortion at the pre-distortion section in the FPGA unit in advance. For more information about ICOM's amateur radios and to locate a dealer, visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur today. For the love of ham radio.
Nothing happened there. Big thank you to ICOM America. Thank you for sponsoring Ham Nation. We really do appreciate it. And also, I want to say again, thank you for the innovation you guys do as well. The 905 was a fantastic radio when I got to play with it. And I'm thinking in my head, you know how they get those antennas for the LeoSats with the the Z, XL, XY control? What if you had that, but you had the full accompaniment of 905 antennas on it? You had full control. I don't know. I'm thinking about something like that. But every time we go live, if you'd like to click that Enter Now button on the website we have linked in the video description, you can enter the Swag Pack giveaway. The Swag Pack is, T-shirt, a hat, tablets, pens, that kind of thing. And they'll pick 3 winners every time we're live for Ham Nation. And at the end of the month, they'll give away one of these radios. And if you go to the website, you can see every one of these radios here that we're going to do. Let's see, what's August? The V86, and then following that is the T10 for September. So make sure you get in on that. But we do have some Swag Pack winners, and this week's episode's winners are Charles A, KQ4NTE, Dennis A, AI5QW, and Robert M, W6OHJ. All right, guys. Well, congratulations, and your names are now on the list for the end of the month radio giveaway. And thanks again to ICOM. We really do appreciate the support. Yeah. Well, we've got a fun interview. We're going to throw it right over. We're going to hear a little bit about Dog Day Radio. What's that all about?
Well, first, let me introduce Caryn. We have Caryn Eve Murray here, KD2GUT. Thanks, Caryn, for being here. We appreciate it.
It's great to be here, and this is an incredible event that we could only dream about last year. So I'm happy to share with you guys what we've got going on.
Okay, so you have a special event going on, and is this coinciding with International Dog Day, and that's why you're doing it? All right, well, take it away. Explain it to us.
Well, let me take you back real quick 3 years ago when a fellow named Hans, ham radio operator in Latvia, YL3JD, decided to get on the air and call attention to the fact that there are dogs abused, neglected, abandoned, tough situations. He felt in his heart that he wanted to call attention to this and encourage people to do what they could, whether it's to donate, whether it's to volunteer, whether it's to foster, whatever they could do to help these animals. That got some traction, and the next year, some hams in the UK wanted to be a part of that, operating separately but in sync with one another. Anyway, that's when I learned about it. And we had a story on Amateur Radio Newsline about it. And I said, Hans, International Dog Day. If it's international, where are the operators in the U.S.? Oh, he says, there are no operators in the U.S. And I said, aha, I think we can change that.
Yeah.
And here we are, 1 year later. I've got an amazing team. There are 8 of us operating as K2D, Kilo 2 Dog. That webpage you're looking at was made by Chris, one of the UK operators. Beautiful. It tells everybody who's operating and when. We are joined by Vince, VE6D, Vince in Canada. So we are 4 nations now, and we're all on the air at different times. The times are listed on that page. By the way, if you look, there's a tab that says Meet the Dogs. Most of the ops either have rescue dogs, have had rescue dogs, or have worked in some capacity helping dogs, whether it's
so
rescue
cool.
transport.
It is so cool. They're so cute.
Look at those faces. Don't you want to rub their bellies?
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at the
Oh, the little Boston.
Look at the puppy.
So
Well,
cool.
we are on the air starting the 21st, and we are ending on the 26th, which is International Dog Day. Please work us. We are on Sideband, and we are on CW. This is to facilitate communication. We want to hear about you and your dogs. We want to do more than a signal report. This is meaningful. And
Very cool.
it's incredible. We will
Now-
be doing a little POTA too.
Now, Caryn, it's K2D is this special event call sign for here in the U.S. Are there other call signs internationally?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Vince is doing, thank you for asking, Vince is doing VE6D. Vince will be operating, I believe, in sync with us from the 21st to the 26th. Hans, bless his heart. Hans is doing it for an additional month. He's really in this for the win. YL1 DOG. I worked him. I'm so excited. I worked him.
Very
that
cool.
day.
Wow.
How can I not work Hans? He started the ball rolling on this, and all the dogs chased the ball. It's the best. So
Oh my
Hans,
gosh, that should be the award name. You chase the ball.
you chased the ball. Well,
And who's a
Hans-
good boy?
Hans is wanting, with this year being the biggest ever for International Dog Day in Amateur Radio, he is encouraging on his QRZ page, and please visit YL1DOG. He's encouraging people to join us next year as ops in other countries. And Hans writes on that page, let's make it rain, cats and dogs. And he mentions that because International Dog Day immediately follows International Cat Day, which concluded today. I want to acknowledge Brian and Eric and John and the other John. I got John in New Jersey, John in Rhode Island. We have Rich, we have Terry, my buddy Terry, and we have Wayne in Indiana. That's the team, guys. Work as many of us as you like. We're trying it out. Next year, we're hoping to go bigger. But our humble little team of dog lovers is really eager to hear from everybody. Tell us about your dogs, or things you've done for dogs, or things dogs have done for you, which is more like it.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
Yeah, isn't that the case? It's the best. Now in the UK, we have 3 dog stations. I'm just looking here. I wrote down GB0 DOG, GB4 DOG, and GB5 NDG. So those are the 3 stations in the UK. Again, we're all operating in support of one another, but right now we are doing this separately. So for this year anyway, there's no such thing as an international clean sweep, but nobody's doing this right now for the awards.
And that
Is
dog's
there
name
one-
is Yagi.
Yeah, that's so cool. Is there one central website that we can go to find out more about this?
I think you're looking at it right there,
And that is
dogdayradio.org.
Dogdayradio.org. I'm right
Mhm.
there.
If you go to dogdayradio.org, there will be different tabs across that black line at the top, as you can see, and that tells you about each operation in each country, and then of course meet the dogs.
Yeah.
Our
This is so awesome because
It
I
is.
mean, while you may initially rescue the dog over the course of that dog's lifetime with you, that dog ends up rescuing you.
Oh, yes.
Our dog
Every
Nola
time.
is a rescue, and we have, when my wife's parents passed away, we have one of their dogs. The other one is right over there at the house next door at my nephew's place. But we have Tessa, he has Alice, and of course we've got our little rescue Nola. So this is so near and dear to my heart. I'm definitely going to try to work some stations and maybe even try to carve out some time to operate next year.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah,
This
we
is
would
so
love
Too.
that.
I want to be an operator. I'm
I
sure
do too,
everyone
yeah.
does. Karen, I take it there's a special QSL card with an SASE.
Well, for K2D, again, this year, because we're sort of a test balloon right now, we're still in doggy training. We're no BB in school. So what we're doing this
Still
year,
going on the paper.
we're going on the paper. Actually, that's the problem. We're not going on because there's no paper, but we're learning to hold it. We're having a downloadable certificate this
Perfect.
year.
Excellent.
Next year, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I would love to have done QSL cards. I think right now we're just trying to wrap our brains around how to run one of these things.
Absolutely, and I think you
you
can
know,
get
Karen,
some donations.
You know a QSL card printer.
Yeah,
We know someone who does that.
we got to
So,
talk.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you could get some donations and get those costs covered for sure, so you wouldn't have
Absolutely.
to sweat about that.
absolutely.
And I'm sure, I think I saw on that website, if anyone you care more about the dogs and you can't get a chance to get on the radio, be sure to donate. How about the
Please.
cause?
Yeah, just as important, maybe even more so.
Hmm.
Very,
You
very
know,
cool. I'm excited about this.
Me too. I have to tell you, I've taken part in a lot of special event stations, and I love special event operating, the Last Man Standing and the 12 Days, and July 4th, all of that, 13 colonies. I've never organized one, and so obviously we're starting modestly, but I can't tell you how much this is close to my heart and to each of our ops overseas and here in the States. And really, the biggest thanks goes to Hans for getting this going and lighting the fire. And boy, does he love his dogs.
Well, we
Very
thank
cool.
you, Karen. Anything else you want the our viewers to know before you take
Abs- Absolutely. If you do work us sideband, we're happy to chat with you. Don't feel rushed. If you work us CW, don't feel rushed. We're not looking to do a formula exchange. If you would rather email us and tell us about your dog in an email, I promise you every single email will be read and appreciated. So you can do that.
Very cool.
And if we get a little silly, because dogs like to play, we might end our QSO with woof woof
Oh my.
instead of dit dit, particularly on CW.
Very funny. That's cute.
See, that would be the perfect call sign for one of these is W0OF, although somebody probably has that. But
They probably do.
I think it's available. I have to check, but I'm hoping next year we can get a different call sign that is a little more
that's
dog
cool.
worthy.
That's cool.
And I'm seeing lots of chatter in the chat about how they would like to get involved and how their own there was a couple different rescues that would like to get involved in Wyoming and some other places. So be tuned in because you're going to get a lot of emails, I think, Karen.
That's okay. We love it. It's for the dogs. It's for the dogs always.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing you guys answering QRZ and getting you in the log. Can't wait. It's a week away. It's the 21st.
Right after Huntsville. We come back from Huntsville, and there it is.
Ready to go.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
And that's my sister's birthday. My sister Missy's birthday is the 21st. So there you go. It's even better.
Fabulous. Well, we're off and running. That'll be
very
a
good.
great day to start.
She's a dog lover as well. You know what? Those of you who follow Amateur Radio Newsline, you have probably heard the name Caryn Eve Murray and heard the call KD2GUT, and you occasionally hear her as well on Newsline. Caryn works more behind the scenes than she does behind the microphone. when Bill Pasternak, the Newsline founder, passed away, Caryn reached out and said, I'd like to help. And so we said, okay, how would you like to be our editor-in-chief and replace Bill Pasternak? And she did not hesitate. She said, okay. And she's been doing an absolute fabulous job since that day. And I just want to personally thank you for coming in and helping to rescue Newsline, because were it not for people like you and Paul Brown and a lot of the other new voices that we have come on board with since Bill passed away, we probably wouldn't have Amateur Radio Newsline. So I just personally wanted to, for myself and for Bill and his memory, you see his call sign license plate right behind me. And Caryn has the other one, since it was the California car. And of course, you got plates on both ends. So when Bill's daughter sent me those 2 plates, I knew where the other one had to go, and it went straight to Caryn. So
That's
thank you, Caryn. That's all I have to say.
Don, thank you. And
from the bottom of
as
my
you
heart,
know,
we appreciate
it's
you.
all about the team. It's the team that
It
makes
really is.
So
Bill would be so proud of you and of this
He
team
certainly
as
would.
well. So yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Well, thank you, Miss
Woof,
Caryn. Yes, woof, woof.
Yeah. Well, Gordo's more of a cat guy, but Gordo likes the dogs too.
I sure do.
Yes, he does.
Rescue dogs, the best.
They are.
Rescue dogs.
Thanks, Caryn.
Thank you. Thank you guys for inviting me and letting me share the good news, and onward into next week.
Yeah, when you
Let's run
emailed
with
me
the
about
dogs.
this, it's like, when you emailed me about this, I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing this. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, very good.
Best.
Thank you, darling.
9973.
11-3, Caryn. And now, Dawn, I think you got some news.
Speaking of Amateur Radio Newsline, why don't we go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage? From Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2441, this is Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. First up to southern India, where teams of ham radio operators are being credited with providing life-saving communication that helped save lives amid the deadly landslides there.
With the help of vital information provided by an amateur radio operator, rescue teams rushed to evacuate people from a region devastated by landslides that began in late July in the Wayanad district of the Indian state of Kahula. A VHF repeater set up on the 3rd of August by the Sultan Bathory DX Association carried location, condition and other details to district officials as rescue efforts intensified using drones and radar. Hams relayed information to district authorities from ravaged communities after being asked by the district collector to step in and be part of the relief operations. Led by Sabu Matthew, VU2ELJ, the association's chairman, the Hams set up an amateur radio station inside the district collector's office in Calcutta. With some cell phone towers washed away by the landslides, mobile phone service was available only in a limited capacity, according to published reports. A press release from the district collector's office said that many lives were saved because of the emergency network. Officials said, and I quote, ham radio messages came to their aid and the rescue team members were able to facilitate their evacuation, end quote. This is Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
A de-expedition to Scotland's Flannan Islands has been called off because of threatening weather.
Despite their best hopes and plans, a team of seasoned radio operators from the UK had to call off an attempt to activate the 6th most wanted island on the air in Europe, Scotland's Flannan Islands group. The team said bad weather posed safety hazards. The uninhabited islands carry the IOTA number EU118 and are in the Outer Hebrides. The group is the 2nd most wanted IOTA in the UK after Rockall, where one of the 5 Flannan team members, Nobby G0VJG, spent several days in 2023. The Flannan expedition had been assigned the same call sign that activators used for Rockall, MM0UKI. The team announced that the weather forecast compelled them to abandon the hoped-for activation, which was to have been calling QRZ from the 1st of August. The team had already faced an earlier challenge. They had to replace their original vessel, which had developed an engine fault. The boat skipper later told them that the window for favourable weather was insufficient for him to retrieve them safely, and they would therefore have to return home. They had planned to be on the air for 48 to 72 hours. This is Jeremy Bucci for NJH.
It's time for Amateur Radio Newsline to shine the spotlight on a very special YL this weekend at the Huntsville Hamfest in Alabama.
The big day is almost here for Grace Papay, K8LG, our 2024 winner of the Bill Pasternak WA6 ITF Memorial Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award. Grace, who's 18 and from Holland, Michigan, will be publicly recognized at the Huntsville Hamfest on Saturday afternoon, August 17th. Grace is the daughter of Doug Papay, K8DP, and Carrie Papay, K8CLP. She's the granddaughter of John Papay, K8YSE, a veteran operator in the ham satellite community. Grace holds an extra class license earned a year after she passed her tech test. A commemorative plaque and gifts from award sponsors Yaesu USA, Heil Sound Limited, and Radio Waves Antenna Company will be given to Grace at that time. It's going to be a busy week for Grace as she'll be traveling to Huntsville from Cedarville University in Cedarville, Ohio, where she'll be attending freshman orientation programs. Grace begins studies in electrical engineering there this fall. Congratulations and good luck, Grace, from all of us. You will become a leading light as you receive your award on International Lighthouse and Lightship Weekend. I'm Mark Abramovich, NT3V.
Mark is our Young Ham of the Year Committee Chairman, and his son Josh, KK4WDP, was our 2002 recipient. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Graham Kemp, VK4BB, Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, Mark Abramovich, NT3V, Caryn Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. All right, another great report from the Newsline, folks. We do not have Dr. T tonight. She is under the weather, recovering from COVID again. I think she's had that. I don't know how many times she's had it, but whatever you're doing, Dr. T, you need to do something different. Stay away from.
She has to travel so much.
Going. Clearly, it's not working for you, but we hope you're feeling better and get back with us doing the stuff that you do for us real soon. Of course, follow her on X and, of course, spaceweatherwoman.com, because even though she's under the weather, she still can do this. Now, you can't see me. She still can do this, and she can do this. She just can't do this. So anyway, thank you, Dr. T. We appreciate everything you do for us, and thanks to the Newsline group. And we'll see you, I guess, in Huntsville. Well, except for Amanda. Amanda's not going to Huntsville.
I know.
Which
the humidity does not agree with me.
we gotta get you to Huntsville and to Dayton one of these years.
One of these years.
We'll work on
All
it.
right.
Amanda,
All right.
I'm excited to hear this.
I'm going to teach everyone some lessons I learned this last week. And as you all know, I
love it.
so excited to go to this Outdoorsman Day Expo.
Yeah.
And to teach new perspective hams about ham radio. And I learned a lot, and I'm going to pass on my learnings to everybody else. So I put together a little slideshow here to make some humor out of it, but seriously, take some lessons out of this because I certainly learned a lot. So, we got all set up on Thursday afternoon because it was a Friday, Saturday, and there was about 3,000 visitors to this whole Outdoorsman Days thing, which is quite a bit. And I had quite a big crowd that came by the booth. But so I was so excited that I was going to have this whole load of people to come by and talk and learn about ham radio and get interested and get licensed. And I just didn't realize that I wasn't completely familiar with how to talk to people that completely don't know anything about amateur radio. They knew enough to be dangerous. Let's put it that way. Switch screens here. So the first thing I learned was that people need a lot of study resources. I should have had a Gordo book on hand, online study guides. I should have had this whole sheet of things for people to take away. Now, I had a small sheet, but it did not have all of these resources on it. So I needed to show them online classes, where to find practice tests, how to find a testing session that they can use iOS, Android apps, and also have local club contacts. Now, because people were from all over, not just our local town, it was really hard to have that stuff. But this is how I felt. It's like, how do I teach these people how they start to get licensed? It was almost overwhelming. I didn't really stop to consider that they don't have the very beginnings of what they need to do to get licensed or where to start. So this is how I was trying to tell people how to get licensed.
A lot of information. It's like drinking from a fire hose at first. It really is.
It was a lot of, I was trying not to overwhelm people, but it's kind of an overwhelming subject. So you need to try to make it as easy as possible. And when I come up with my 100% fail-proof resource sheet, I'm going to put out for everyone to be able to download, and you can print your own so you can pass them out when you're at events like this. So then they're coming up to my table and they're telling me that they saw on YouTube to buy a Bofang and put it in their pack, and they're not licensed. So I'm like, okay, where do I go from here? And it was probably a 50% scenario that people had already seen to buy, your gateway drug radio is the Bofang. And they knew about them, but didn't know anything else about them. So have your spiel kind of ready. So when I told them about the fines and the regulations for transmitting on that radio without having a license, they perked up a little bit and wanted to pay a little bit more attention about maybe getting a license. And so make sure it's very important to explain to some of these folks that it is absolutely 100% illegal and the fines are huge. When I mentioned the $20,000 range, a little bit of shock came across their faces, and they started picking up that reference sheet of where to look to start finding some of their study guides. But definitely let them know, don't use that radio. They what happens is they say that they saw on these videos that they could use it for an emergency use, and that's some of these prep videos say you can have it, but you need to be able to explain that what they might deem an emergency might not be what the FCC deems an emergency. The other thing you can always tell them is that no one else can talk to them if they're going to transmit without a license. That's key too. Is, well, you can go out there, but as soon as people find out that you're not licensed, it's illegal for them to actually talk to you and converse. So you might not get anyone on the other end, even if you do have that radio without a license. So those are some big talking points, and again, things I kind of learned to be not hasty about, but just direct, that you can't use these radios without being licensed. So then a lot of people had questions about, well, what's the difference between ham versus GMRS versus FRS? So this is kind of my little put together a much larger band space, frequency options in ham, numerous antenna and radio options. I put this on my list here, a higher class of users, which I fully agree. Not saying that GMRS users are a bad class of people. It's just usually get just people that are able to help in an actual emergency situation. A lot of the linked repeater coverage, that was another thing, is people asking how far our radios would talk compared to a GMRS radio, things like that. And it was having those explanations on hand is quite useful. So everyone take that into consideration when you're talking the difference. And, of course, I did get a little technical. I tried not to, again, because total intro. So many other things to do in amateur radio, to get your kids involved, International Space Station, satellite working, make it a real hobby, not just for emergency use and kind of things. And that kind of really got some people's attention, that they didn't realize there was so much to amateur radio compared to just an FRS license. So in the GMRS options, yes, actually, GMRS is just a viable option for some folks. And we have a big Amish community that lives outside of town, and a few of them did come by the table and try to figure out what options would be best for them out in where they have no cell phone coverage. And they don't use cell phones, it's for sure they don't, but they also own businesses, and a lot of their employees will do the technical side for them. And they were kind of curious on any of this would help. Obviously, in a business sense, it would not. In a sense of them needing something for emergencies when they need to use technology, when they have to, GMRS might actually work a little bit better for them. They don't have to study online. That's something they're not going to do. I did let them know that they could purchase books or have someone purchase a book online for them so that they could study and look at the test situation. They do get turned off with having to register with the government whatsoever, any other ways than they already have to, but they were open to looking at radio as an option for them. And then I put FRS is just crap. It's not recommended. It's not going to work. It won't work, more than 500 feet away. So that was kind of my explanation. And, the power usage. Once again, I gave a talk on the weekend, and it was first thing Friday morning, and I wish I had had Friday day to meet everybody and see what their questions and what their interest level was before I gave my half an hour talk on amateur radio. It would have gone a lot different, but it was successful, I think. When I told them that there was a no code requirement, very excited. A lot of them still thought that there was Morse code requirements for testing and getting a license. So that perked them up a little bit. We set up this, we have a portable tower now and trailer, and we set this up. And once they saw like some of the cool setups that you can do with ham radio, they understood how it has a further distance and more range options. They were pretty impressed with what you could do. We had also our screwdriver set up and just a vertical UHF or VHF antenna on some mast and things like that. And they were pretty impressed with what you could do. Also showing off just the mobile setup, I'd take them over to the pickup truck and they could see our mobile radios and antenna setups that they were very interested in all the different options. By the end of the weekend, it was pretty successful. I had handed out my business card to a lot of people. And in fact, so many interest, I got the local club here to do a Zoom class this week to teach everyone about ham radio and give them a class and then maybe a test this weekend. So that was key. So to summarize it all, have a very helpful reference handout for everyone to take from your table if you're teaching about ham radio. Your personal contact information, a business card of such, so that they can feel personal and they can reach out to you on an email and let you know if they have any questions once the things you taught them. Have some radios on display. The way I kind of put it was we had like a Bofing, we had a Yaesu, we had our D-Star handheld, and we had the 705 on the table. So my comparison, because this was an outdoorsman hunting kind of thing, it was like, here's your high point gun and here's your Kimber gun. That was just my reference for you. It was pretty easy to explain that way. So that kind of made them think, so there's anything in between. I had an Anytone there that I taught him a little bit about APRS, and well, you might not want to give away your hunting spots using APRS, but it is helpful. So maybe your loved ones from camp can see where you're at out in the field, those kind of things. The study book on hand was really important. I had the ARRL Tech Question Pool book, that their most recent publication of that. But having a Gordo book would have been really helpful, just so they can kind of see what the study material is, kind of thumb through it. A request for more information sheet so they can write down their contact info would have been helpful, so I could just send them an email with some more reference links. I also learned not to be too technical and to be nice, even to ones that said they already had radios but weren't licensed. You be nice and cordial and just explain your stance on it and go from there, and be open to hearing what their needs or what their wants are in amateur radio, and then you can learn to adapt from there. So that is what I learned this weekend. It was a fun
Sounds like
time.
you learned as much as you taught.
I think so. I really. That's the high point, $100. I had to pay him $100 to take that high point off my hands.
I just remember the high point came out with a
great
model
job,
wrapped.
Amanda. And now that the league is producing my textbook, I've asked the league for brochures, and they've got some great brochures that you know of, I'm sure, that talk about what ham radio is for the beginners. So ARRL has us covered as well.
They do. Yeah, I have the what is amateur radio and how to get involved and the youth.
Right.
I had a pretty cool, preparation checklist that they could take, just some handouts, but it was mostly just, where do I start? That was the biggest question. Where do I start? And
Good point.
It is a hard beginning, and no matter how you explain it, when they find out there's different options, because we don't have a set. You can do this to learn about ham radio and take practice tests, or you can buy a guide and just have a book in front of you, or you can do this. It's like, wow, it's not like your hunter safety course where you just take your hunter safety course and you're done. So it was just, I realized how overwhelming it could be to somebody just walking up, not knowing what to do.
When you think about it, there's only 2 hobby activities in the United States that you have to have a federal license to partake in. This is one of them, and the other one is flying an airplane.
Yeah, or a drone.
So yeah, exactly. So it's pretty, any kind of aircraft. So it's a pretty serious subject. And that guy Gordon down there, he can explain it in what I call bathroom English, where even I can understand it. And he's the best teacher around. So yeah, he's the one to talk to. That's for sure.
Well, that's great. And next Ham Nation in 2 weeks, we're going to talk all about the FCC renewals and what a headache it is to do the FRN and the password, your mother's maiden name and your dog's last name. There's now a service that will handle renewals.
Oh, good.
Remote testing, remote classes, and we're going to have those experts on scene in 2 weeks right here talking about how they've made getting the FCC paperwork done, and they'll do it for you for a small fee.
Yeah, it can be kind of daunting. I've seen just lately a lot of social media posts on Facebook. I've been trying to renew my ham ticket, and I go on the FCC website, and it's like, it's like I don't even know how to spell FCC correctly. What's the I've never had a problem with it. I mean, I just renewed like last year, a couple of years ago, so I've never had an issue with it. But I know some people do, and if there's a way to make it easier to understand and simplify it, well, by all means. It's kind of like me and Logbook of the World. I don't get that, and I guess renewing your license is kind of like that to some people,
Yeah, it is.
So.
The thing I like
2
to
weeks,
bring up,
and we'll talk about
yeah,
that.
Perfect.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
The thing I like to bring up with learning.
Right. Should we go around the horn? Anyone else have any closing statements?
No, yeah, real quick. Sorry, I realized that you were sharing and I had muted myself for the sharing. But I was going to say that one of my favorite things when I'm kind of showing people the different material is on a flyer like that or links, right? Is books are great for some people. Some people learn with video. Some people want a phone app. Some people want a website. And that's the best thing about amateur radio is we've got like almost all your learning covered. You just got to kind of, and that's what I say. It's like, hey, these are books. This is a website. These are videos. This is audio. And however you learn, 2 of these might be really good options and you can ignore the rest. But I love the idea of a little flyer with maybe QR codes. They don't even.
I think QR codes are not very necessary.
Done. That's well. I think you've actually challenged me to make something like that because I love that idea.
Kind of like a little roadmap, teach them what exit to get off on to get to where they need to go. Specifically, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Great job, Amanda. That's great
thank you.
information.
I hope everyone took a little bit away from that. I know I learned so much this weekend. It's amazing. I mean, I've talked to non-hams at field day, but they kind of knew about ham radio and they're coming because somebody they knew invited them or something. But this was completely. I've just never been in this ballpark before.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Excellent.
Cool.
Well, thank you.
Proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, I know some of us are gonna skedaddle to the airport. Well, I'm packed. I got to skedaddle to the airport tomorrow morning, but I know that Don may be driving. And Gordo, are we gonna see you there? I forgot. Yes, right or no? No, you're 10 gigahertz. That's right.
Yeah, unfortunately, they want me to play 10 gigs. That is the 10 gig crew, so we'll be maritime.
Well, you'll have fun regardless.
We're going to be heading out between 7:30 and 8 Friday morning, And just like last year, Tyler, N7TMW, has offered to drive, so I'll be in the passenger seat of his little Toyota, not burning my gas, although I'll be putting gas in his car, I'm sure. But yeah, so we're going to head up there Friday morning, about a 6-hour drive or so. So we're looking forward to that.
So for everybody going, I'll be there tomorrow. Friday's my full day, or first full day, so I'm going to be going to a Buc-ee's. Got to go to the Buc-ee's.
Yeah, it's not far.
That's
Buc-ee's
right.
is not far from there.
Rocket Museum.
Buc-ee's on the air?
Maybe Buc-ee's on the air, maybe. The
Boda.
Rocket Museum we did last year, but highly recommended if you've got the time. If you're here,
It's amazing.
yeah. If
That's
you go
fun.
if you're there on Friday, you got no excuse. Make it happen. It's a wonderful, wonderful time. And then every day, pretty much, if you're there already, you may already be going to the Don. Is it Montesano?
Montesano.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Montecito is in
Montesano
California.
Park.
That's
yeah, the
right.
State Park.
So Montesano is the campsite that has pretty much been completely taken over by the YouTubers and amateur radio operators, trailers, cabins, you name it. They're there every evening, and there's pavilions that we rent. And I don't know if they have it Thursday, tomorrow, but for sure Friday and Saturday we will be out there having some fun after hours. So if you meander up there after the show, that's about the perfect time, and we'll see you there.
And it's a mountain, so it's a mountain in a state park, so there'll be some POTA for sure, and probably some soda activations up there.
Yep.
Knowing you guys. And if you're looking for some non-ham side trips, there's some cool things that are within about an hour or two drive of Huntsville. One is the Unclaimed Baggage Store in Scottsboro.
I heard about
That's where the lost luggage from airlines, and when they have 90 days to try to reunite you with your luggage. If that doesn't work and they can't find you and reunite you, it gets sold to the Unclaimed Baggage Store, and you can go in and buy that stuff.
Yeah,
yes,
really?
it's a thing. It's a huge store. Unclaimedbaggage.com, I think. But also there's another little place just kind of north of Huntsville, not too far into the next state. And it's, what's the name of that place? Jack Daniel's Distillery. Not far. An easy day trip. So a couple of things if you want to take a break from the ham radio activity stuff. I've done both of those and highly recommend it. There's a bunch of other stuff too. Crystal, I think it's Cathedral Caverns. There's a beautiful cave there as well. There's a lot of stuff to do around there. So.
And here is an idea. If you do end up finding a nice little radio in the show at the swaps, bring it up to Montesano, and we'll get you on the air. We'll get you POTA-ing right out of the chute, because there's going to be a ton of antennas set up. So that'll be a lot of fun. So make sure you do that as well. So yeah, that's what I got to say. Come on out, guys. We'll hang out.
And when you drive up to Montesano, just ask the guy at the gate, "Where's the ham radio, guys?" They'll know.
That's all you got to do.
They'll know. That's all you got to say.
Yeah, where's the hams? No.
Yeah, and if you got an antenna on your car, he'll just go.
Well, everybody have fun in Huntsville. Have fun, be safe, all that good stuff. Don't spend more money than you're willing to tell your wife about.
I've got a short list. I've already made my big purchase. I'm putting a ICOM 2730 in my car.
Nice.
So that's already on the way. But I've got a few other ancillary items that I've got to buy in order for that. So yeah, I've got a short list of a few.
Inno mount, those things.
Yeah, I do, because I've got an old cop car, and it's got those 3/4 inch holes in the trunk lid that are plugged. So I'm gonna use one of those for the antenna.
Sweet.
The hole's already pre-drilled. I don't have to get my drill out. So, yep, looking forward to getting a radio back in the car. So.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up so everyone can get going.
Absolutely.
Don't forget our nets tonight. 14 Charlie for D-Star, 7192 on 40. Kevin should be there, and Steve at 14268, thereabouts. So
beautiful.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Join us back here again on August 28th.
There you go. And if you're traveling to Huntsville, travel safely and look for us. We'll be there, and we'll be more than happy to say hi to you.
Indeed.
Oh, Young Ham of the Year. Ham of the Year presentation, 2:00 Saturday at the main stage.
Got it.
Well, everybody, howdy 73, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Take it easy.
See y'all.
Aloha. Peace. See ya.